I've never seen that much cake.
Just call me Q. I can smell what's next to you, Jamie. Sorry. I was just like on the phone. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March meeting. It seems we've brought out the sun, so hopefully folks managed today in such a rainy, dreary day. I'm Jessica Chase. I'm pleased to call this March executive meeting to order. Just a little bit, you all know we do a little bit of administrative business at the top. We continue to operate or adopt a hybrid meeting policy. We're actually be discussing that tonight as well. With members of the public and press invited to join remotely. Our bylaws require that if you have an extraordinary circumstance as defined by New York State open meetings law, then you can participate remotely. And we ask that you complete the form online for any members who are expecting to participate remotely as part of quorum this evening. Excused members and members of the public will be able to join virtually. Board members using Zoom, excuse me, we ask you to leave your cameras on. This meeting is being streamed on our YouTube channel and a transcript is being recorded. The meeting will live on the YouTube channel and be accessible to the public. This evening, we have a fairly brief agenda. So again, I thank you guys all for coming out this evening. We're going to jump right into it and start with item number 1, which is the Chelsea Land Use Committee testimony on Bayview, formerly the Women's Prison at 550 West 20th. The letter was added a bit late, so there are copies on the table if you're in the room. If you are virtual, it is in the Dropbox, and I'll turn it over to Carrie, I believe, right? Carrie to walk us through.
Thanks, Jessica. Hi, everyone. So this is a brief summary of the letter that we will be sending in support of this GPP. Hopefully. We voted on this at Chelsea Land Use. It was unanimously approved. And tonight, I think the purpose of this is to get approval from exec so that we can provide testimony on Wednesday at their public meeting. And then we will go ahead and vote on the full letter at full board. This is a great project. Sorry, can you hear my excitement? The board has been working on this since long before my time, in various iterations, and we finally seem to have something that is going to move forward and fulfill our promise for affordable and supportive housing in Chelsea, which I think is just fantastic. So as you probably know, this is the former Bayview Women's Prison, name TBD as to what it's going to be called. We have the development team likes Liberty Landing, Chelsea Land Use does not, so we're gonna keep that up for debate. But it will be 124 permanently, at least 124 permanently affordable housing units, including at least 60 supportive housing units and 15 short-term residential, transitional residential beds operated by Urban Pathways with 24-hour on-site staff support. It will also have a community center that will be 10,000 square feet. And the development team worked very hard to try to keep all of the historic, fabric, working with SHPO to keep the preservation of this building in as many areas as it could. Where it couldn't was the pool. It could not keep the pool in order to make this housing happen, but it did promise to reuse and restore the pool tiles in the building, the lobby. So it will definitely restore and repair the terracotta tiles at the front of the building that were falling off or were taken off, we're not sure, about a year and a half ago. And I mean, we just can't, it's just great. There are 4 zoning overrides that will be required. That means there's no ULURP because it's a GPP and it's the state and they're just going to override. That's an FAR override to permit 8.5 FAR across the whole project site from a maximum of 7.5, a building height of 190 feet across the project site. They would like to restore the original signage on the side of the building, the historic signage that said Siemens House, I believe. And in order to do that, they need a zoning override. And they also are looking to, they're looking to retain the chapel in the interior of the building, which was one of the preservation requests. But to do that, they need a zoning override because the windows of the chapel are stained glass. And when you have a recreation facility or a community area, the glass is meant to be completely transparent. So it won't be. So that's a zoning override. We found that these zoning overrides to be a minor consequence in context of the greater project. So there was no objection to them. And then the committee did have some further, things for the development team to consider further. The addition of trees and bioswales along 20th Street and 11th Avenue, exploring the use of solar panels on the roof, community involvement in defining what the use is for the community facility, which has not been declared yet, retention and restoration of historic light fixtures and sconces at the entrance, preservation of plaques, any historic plaques, of which there are some in the interior, and paintings. So they will do that, I'm pretty sure. Transparency regarding the potential changes to the sizes of the windows, which are, because it was a woman's prison, the windows are quite small, so they might have to adjust that. So they're gonna look into that and get back to us. Renaming of the property from Liberty Landing to something else, something better, something about Chelsea, or something that, speaks to the significance, the historic significance of the building, and a friendly amendment to ask them to look into providing an outdoor area for residents of the short-term transitional facility. So with that, we strongly support this redevelopment. It's really exciting, and that's kind of the testimony. I'll do better, I promise. But yeah.
Thank you, Carrie. Are there any questions?
Just one, this is great, maybe David, what's a blade sign? What is that? The blade sign?
It's like the sign that hangs off the side of a building. Like if you think of a theater, when the sign is this way,
Vertical.
the vertical, yeah.
I got you, okay, thank you.
I've got one question. Yeah, this is really exciting. The new addition in the courtyard space, have they talked about the entrance? Is that gonna be sort of, because that's to add additional affordable housing, is that a different entrance than the supported housing piece, or is it one main entrance?
No, it's one main entrance.
Right.
There's
Okay.
one entrance to all of the affordable and supportive housing. And then there is a separate entrance to the short-term transitional residential beds. Housing.
I need beds.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
My recollection, but I have a terrible memory, was when we talked about this project a couple of years ago. There was talk about, or at least a hope, that this was going to be, or at least some of the supportive housing would be specifically for people with long-term psychiatric needs.
Those are the 15 beds.
Okay.
We didn't get,
So-
we didn't get.
We
together.
asked for
I was
more.
gonna say, so it sounds like we
Yeah.
didn't get what we wanted.
Exactly. Got some.
I think we asked for more. This is what they could do, and we're really glad that they could do it.
It's a new OMH program specifically for high need dual addicted mentally ill individuals. Get them stabilized, and they will be there for minimum 120 days, but it can be extended as part of a whole referral network.
Just the 15 though.
Yeah, we really try to get more of this. They actually made a program for us.
And
Yeah,
I
they
think we
did.
should think about this.
And they get support.
Oh,
Yeah.
major support,
It's also-
24/7
Yeah.
social service support.
Yeah,
But this,
Nurses.
this is an opportunity also for them to evaluate whether this can be done in
Yeah.
more extensive environments with more beds perhaps, or other developments, but literally this is like
I think
from
we
the ground
asked
up.
for
a new
30
model.
beds, we asked for 30 beds.
okay. I just happened last week to be at a facility. Where there are 24 beds, 4 people coming out of psychiatric hospitals and things, and so. And it's been there for a long, long time.
But that was combined with affordable housing. That's what's unique here, is
Yeah.
that from the beginning, it's going out to, and with the community facility, not just for the residents there, but intended to be for other people in the neighborhood. So this kind of co-location of all of these programs under one roof, under one developer from the beginning, I think that's what we're referring to
Oh,
as
that's what's been-
particularly.
That's like the big new
Yeah.
piece, yeah.
I was gonna say, cause, yeah,
No.
more psychiatric beds isn't a new piece,
No, no, no,
but-
but
No.
it's all of these things and also using state, like the state put all of this out as an RFP, saying we want all of these goals to be met, and we're looking for, not, I mean, it's 51%, I think, nonprofit owned.
Yeah.
With all of these components, I think even if you removed one, we would still be able to say it's a new model, but taken together, it is.
So then the separate entrance is for the 15 beds.
Right.
That's right,
But everybody else is
Together,
yes,
and it integrated throughout, Kate, that was every question,
good.
every
And,
floor.
and then the support is not just for the 15,
the what, I'm sorry?
the support, like the 24-hour.
Separate
Well, the
level.
24-hour is for, I mean, well, it depends on what, and Carrie studied.
That's right.
Respond.
The 24-hour on-site support is for the short-term transitional residents.
And
the
there's another
15
set of
beds.
support services for the rest,
But
on
on
site,
site,
yes.
okay.
But it's a more intensive level of support for those 14, or 15, excuse me, who may require medical intervention. et cetera.
But,
Oh,
For
yeah.
example, there's a nurse on duty 24/7, not what you have on the other one.
Okay, any other, yeah,
Barry, I'll shoot you some edits on language from the letter that it's out this afternoon, so I marked it up, I'll send it to you, okay?
Sure.
Can I make a motion?
yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we support the Chelsea land use efforts to testify at the hearing in support of this rezoning application.
great, all in favor? Thank you, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great.
So we're not voting on a letter tonight. That's it.
No. Full board, yeah.
The testimony is
yeah.
expected tomorrow as part of the GPT.
That's the timing issue.
So, I'm sorry,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, so, cool. Okay, our second item is amendments to the New York State Open Meetings Law. You'll remember, I think it was 2 execs ago that actually Bradley and Siegel came to our meeting to talk about this. As I understand it, this is really in response to many community boards which are having, this is giving another option for community boards to help address issues of quorum. This is not a requirement, it's just setting a new minimum standard. I personally don't, also I want to remind everyone, the open meetings law as it is now is meaning for hybrid meetings is only on the books through 2026. So it's possible that everything will need to be looked at again in the future. But I think the senator is trying to be responsive to other community boards and who are experiencing these challenges. So you have the language before you, if anybody has any questions. I don't think we have anyone from this office. Yeah.
No, I mean. right. This is about, sign on.
Yeah.
Sign on my own VP's office in regards to supporting this legislation. My only question was, it now, as I understand it, it now says 50 members, let's say the 40, you only need 12 to start a meeting.
12 in person.
12 in person to start a meeting. However, to vote, you still need a quorum, which would be 66. So that's what I don't understand about this.
Is that correct?
That's not the way I understand.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it wrong now.
I think it's just
I
lowering
understood
quorum
to say
to
12,
25%.
using that example, you need 12 members. You don't know, you no longer need 50% to be in person for quorum. you now have 25% to be in quorum, but you still need a quorum.
Virtual or in person?
Yes.
Oh,
Count both.
Yeah,
And to just qualify, to just add to Jesse's comment, sorry to take away from the substance, but the VP's office has asked the boards, through, every month we have a borough board meeting, they've asked all of the boards to sign on to provide support to this legislation. So again, it's not that we would necessarily adopt it, it would be adding our voice in support, frankly, of the boards really who are struggling with this issue and want to have this as a tool in their toolkit.
sorry.
Well, let's go this way, this way, Paul.
So we can have our own policy
We
as
will.
long as that.
Right, I think
Our
it's
This
policy-
is just setting a minimum and we're not looking to make any
That was
changes.
my question. So each board then can choose to adopt it? or
That's
not?
right, it's a floor.
And we're not doing that as part of this process. I mean, why would we not adopt the 25%?
We're gonna
Well,
stand
we
about
can
that.
have, we can have a subsequent discussion about what's appropriate for this board, but we have not to date had issues reaching quorum, and I think there's been not, though this has not been a formal topic on our agenda, I have heard repeatedly the value of in-person, being in person and around a table and looking at our colleagues and working through issues. So I have, to the extent this is an attempt to be responsive to an issue other boards are facing, it is not an issue that we have in this board. But again, we could always add it to an agenda for discussion about whether or not, or what about, and particularly recognizing that 2026, this hybrid option sunsets, that we may want to make other recommendations of things that we need to be able to support a hybrid environment or a meeting environment that includes a hybrid option. So for right now, that's not that is not what's on the table, but I would be certainly happy if someone would, if there's a desire to have that discussion, to add it to a future discussion. Also, this was proposed last year and did not pass. So this legislation, that's in part why the borough president, I believe, is trying to organize to get a little bit more oomph behind it. But obviously, until anything is, passed into law, we wouldn't be able to amend our policy.
It ain't passed yet. Why pretend it is?
What was the opposition like? Who?
I don't even, I think it's possible it just maybe didn't move.
I don't, but yeah, in the state, you need to have a sister bill and assembly, and,
Yeah,
so
it's not
I
like
couldn't
there's
make
some
a-
group out there that's like, oh my God.
I can't speak to it. I'm not sure. I think it's possible that it just. Oh,
I would just note that
No, my
there
question-
are just the open meeting law, like this doesn't just affect community boards. So there are just other representative bodies that, prefer to not change this policy for whatever reason. And so it did not gain traction. I believe it passed the Senate, but I don't think it gained traction in the Assembly.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that, isn't it, I know some boards have a hard time getting people in the room, but isn't it a disincentive for people to get out of their houses and actually come and meet the public and engage like we engage
Yeah.
every month?
It is.
I just feel like we did this all for COVID for the right reason. We learned how to manage the hybrid stuff and pretty good, right? But I feel like as a appointed public member or something, you should have to sit in a room with the public and not sit in your living room.
I know you feel that way.
I'm just saying, because I think it's basic societal interaction that happens as opposed to, I can say anything I want in my living room and, not have to really feel the heat
Yeah,
on an issue.
I hear it. I would just say,
Except for the health issues.
having heard the issues described after a board, different demographics in different communities, whether it's older folks or some board cultures, people with kids,
When does that ever
feeling like,
change though? The same always.
feeling like, or maybe, well, also people's expectations about how they connect and participate has changed. I mean, that is a reality of the world. We may not like it because we think we prioritize in-person interaction, but the reality is everyone expects to be able to join in on, a phone or a Zoom in both, even you visit your doctor on Zoom, right?
And that's not
So.
worked out a lot.
And so that has colored people's experience.
And I will add to that, we have a lot fewer parents now on ACEs than we did during COVID. Because as soon as it was over, people realized there's just no way that they could do this.
Yeah.
It's too many nights.
Yeah, Carrie?
I was gonna say something along the lines of what Josephine just said, that I mean, I think it's true, and maybe Roberta has the data to back this up, that we have higher community engagement now that people can join online. And I think that should be a priority over face to face.
I want to push back a little on that.
It's members, it's not public.
Support Joe's position here. What I'm seeing is that the public session is increasing in length because people are saying, I don't have to go to a meeting. I can just go online and sell my bar, talk about my bar, talk about my university. This is increasing. It becomes a selling point. Secondly, the last meeting, we had a guy, which I found deeply offensive, politicizing the public meeting and threatening retribution on members of the board. This was kind of spooky. Plus I thought it was an anti-Semitic statement. And I feel if you're going to do that, come to a meeting and get some pushback or talk to people. But increasingly, we have to sit there and take this without responding. So I object to that. And I can see that increasing. Thirdly, the elected liaisons stopping coming to the meeting in person because they could just sit home and sell their bosses, tell us how terrific they are. They passed anti-claw legislation for cats or whatever it is. And they should be at the meetings because we need to talk to them afterwards. Now they're not coming. And I see that increasing. So I'm not sure what the solution is. Absolutely, people who cannot come to a meeting, they're homebound. That's wonderful to increase that. But at the same time, I can see it getting longer and longer and longer. And we're unable to respond afterwards, to take somebody aside. So I don't know how to solve that, but when you say we need to be careful and polite, that's very good. Maybe we need to increase that. This is not an opportunity to sell your business.
Yeah.
This is not a political forum, something like that. So I just throw that out.
And we spoke after the board meeting last and you raised that, JD. I'm glad you're bringing it up again. I think there's work we can do and parameters around the public session to make sure that it remains inclusive and civil, but also appropriate for what it is intended to be. I do think that's different than what the letter that's before us. And so, you know, this is really about for board members and quorum. So
As opposed to a public.
exactly. So I think we should take this issue, but I hear it. And I think we should also think we can think together about ways, again, we don't want to do anything that suggests we don't want to hear from people. And I think being able to always be welcoming is so important, figuring out ways to create a better, clearer framework. And certainly the expectations with electeds and their offices, I think we've already changed some of those expectations around time limits. And I think we can do more around in person and what the expectation is so that people, as you said, that the value of being in person and the expectation around that. Oh, sorry, Katie and then Roberta.
When we had discussions earlier on during the Social and Racial Justice Task Force meetings, we talked about how lovely it would be to have even more diverse representation age-wise, and sort of living circumstance-wise. You know, we wanted more people from some of the different areas and some of the projects and we just wanted as much diversity as possible of different perspectives. And one of the things that came up repeatedly was it really does make a difference for people to be able to participate remotely and not have to come in person. And they were saying, especially, you know, just because you mentioned if you have kids at home, but also they were saying if we wanted to have any kind of younger people, teenagers or whatever, participating and having a youth board or anything like that, that we would definitely need to have remote participation. So I do think it does help for board members for us to be more inclusive.
Thank you, Roberta.
I definitely appreciate the discussion that is happening, but I think that like the sort of crux of the legislation is just to like offer another tool in the toolkit to boards who are ultimately struggling with this. And so, you know, if there are particularly committee meetings that we find at some point in the future are struggling to meet quorum, you do have that ability to maybe dial it down to 40% because that is what you need to, conduct the business of that meeting. The whole point is to create a tool that could be used for the future and if like a future in which, these problems might arise. And I think our hope and what I'm hearing is that, the hope isn't that that comes up and that becomes a problem for this board, but if it does, it is worth having, a little bit more optionality and a little bit more flexibility. And then, for boards where it's a consistent issue and affecting their ability to conduct business, I mean, if we want community boards to continue to exist, to continue to operate, I think that enabling them to conduct their business a bit more flexibly is only going to strengthen that, and being very set in the way in which we do things has the potential in the long term to ultimately like weaken the ability of like these institutions, particularly as term limits come on, weaken their ability to operate. And so it's not a question remote in person. I think it's just a tool in the toolkit that would be useful to have. And there's no reason to want to hem ourselves in, especially as we look into, down like a pretty lengthy future, one in which probably most of us won't even be here. So just kind of thinking in a little bit more of a global term.
Jesse wanted to say something and I'll go to Bert, and then I think we've kind of exhausted this issue.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that whether this passes or not, nothing changes with our hybrid policy until we find it.
Oh.
To be clear, they can make all the laws they want, and until we decide to include those perspectives into our hybrid policy. Every board has their own hybrid policy, and ours is so far, and we're happy with ours. We keep ours. I do think this does allow for, in very extreme situations that we might have an issue with, or another board would have an issue with, it gives them another optionality, like what Recorder said. But I would certainly not want this to become the standard, and I don't think it will, but I appreciate the idea that there's some flexibility in there. But I don't think we would be looking to change our hybrid policy, which would require us, you remember it all, I drafted it all up, we went to the exec committee, we had a couple rounds of it, going round and around, and then went to the full board. So it has to be voted out multiple times, so it's nothing that's gonna happen without a complete and utter review and everybody's participation, I think, so.
Bert.
Jesse said what I wanted to say.
Okay. So with that, Roberta, you spoke eloquently. Do you want to make a motion?
I would just, I think the motion would be to sign on to this letter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would move to sign on to this letter as written by the borough president.
There's a second.
I second.
Oh, thank you. All in favor? And we're staying as is, right? Thank you. We're staying as is. We're just signing on to this letter. Okay. All right. Any opposed? One,
I have
two,
to pay for people looking at you in the face.
and abstaining. Okay, President. all right.
Lord, it comes to seal.
Okay, we're good now. Okay, so for the chair report, I'm sorry that we lost Jesse because I was gonna let him do a quick update. Christine, do you wanna share the exciting news on the elevators?
Oh, different Jesse.
Done.
I know.
Christine, would you like to share the update on the elevators? You're on mute. Oh.
What happened to Jesse?
Jesse had to drop off.
Oh, okay. So as many of you know, we had been working toward getting new ADA elevators on 23rd Street at the ACE line and at the 1 line.
A member is choking.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Zoom meetings.
Jesse, she brought him water.
I brought, yeah. Christine, go ahead.
You want me to call 911? I was just. You know, when the when the substation was approved for Penn South, and that was probably 2-3 years ago, Penn South said, you know, as a community benefit, we'd like to see the station at 23rd Street being ADA compliant. And we have also a member, Miriam, which is very strong advocate and did a lot of legwork to request these elevators. And I think Brad Oilman has led the team trying to get them done. So we just got the confirmation that we are going to get a ADA elevator at 23rd and the ACE line, which is on 8th Avenue, and another one at the one line, which is what, on 6th Avenue or 7th Avenue. So we're going to get in that next capital plan, and that's like a huge win. And a lot of people, and Jesse in particular, have done a lot of work to behind the scene to get all the information necessary to make it happen. So we are all very excited.
Thank you, and this is hot off the press, so I'm sure once you guys open your email, you'll see Eric's already emailed about it, but it was news shared today, so thank you, Jesse, as you said, Miriam, and Christine in the committee for your work on that. I just wanted to note, we mentioned that Carrie's giving testimony, or is preparing testimony that will be given on Wednesday for Bayview. I also just wanted to flag that the hearing on Western Rail Yards will be on April 9th. So they are still reviewing that material, and we should expect to hear more.
Let me say which year.
The Western Rail Yards. Excuse me.
Where is it?
You don't have to vote.
The vote, not the hearing, the hearing happened already.
They're announcing the vote, excuse me,
It's a vote
the vote
at city council?
at CPC,
City planning.
Yeah.
yeah, excuse me, on April 9th.
This is like the report and the actual vote there.
I just wanted to make a note so folks are aware that the work, obviously with Port Authority Bus Terminal continues, but they have started the construction task force. So for relevant entities who are impacted by the plan, are encouraged to attend monthly, and the next meeting of that is Wednesday.
It's always up to the last Wednesday of the month.
So if you hear, also just as a reminder, you know, the port believes they've cast a wide net, and members of our board, the working group, have been helpful in making sure that the right folks are invited and participating. But I would also just say, if you are hearing issues from friends, neighbors, businesses, colleagues about concerns, you know, please let Jesse know. Jesse and Christine are repping from CB4. I know Joe's participating through his professional capacity. But you know, this is the body that will be, you know, that they should bring, that should receive updates that are relevant and should deal with issues as they come up. So just want to make sure nobody, you know, it is going to be a massive project. We should expect that there will be issues, but please do flag them.
Are those public meetings, or is it just?
No,
No,
They're not,
they're task force members.
the meetings are not public, but we publish the minutes and the presentations when we get them, so usually about a week or two after. So, but obviously there'll be look aheads going forward, once the work gets closer to really starting, so.
This is more the planning phase of it.
On NYCHA, I wanted to reiterate or share, if you haven't yet heard, we expect the DEIS to be released before the end of the month. We are obviously approaching the end of the month, but we do believe that it will be released, which certainly is going to put a lot of is gonna require a lot of work to go through all of that and see where they, what they have amended and included. I wanna also share that we, I think you all know, we're hosting an informational webinar next Monday on the NYCHA project, really an attempt to do brass tacks, make sure that everyone feels informed and clear on both the history, what decisions or positions this board has taken previously, and where we are in the process going forward. We'll also intend to share some materials as well as point people to other materials. Like if you haven't visited the Fulton Elliott website, I encourage you to. It's a website dedicated to the project and providing updates on the project. And we have asked people to submit questions in advance. So if you have not signed, it is also only for the board. We do hope to record it and circulate it so that people who cannot join at that time can join later. The sooner we get questions, the sooner I can make sure that the materials address them. So if you have questions, big or small, you know, this would be a great time to elevate those. As I've said in past meetings, I know this is both a very complex project and there are a lot of feelings about the project, which makes total sense that there would be. And I think as much as we can take a fact-based approach to what will be ultimately a ULURP action, the better. And so
Well, maybe you'll question.
we think,
There's an
yes,
alternative.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And this
I
is just
suspect.
fact, it's just plain old
Just-
fact, no positions.
And, right, and also trying, but I think the more questions we can get from folks, not statements, but questions, then the more we can elevate, you know, those facts,
So
so,
this is just a discussion among us.
yeah.
That's not
educate.
not even a discussion.
And it's really intended
Educate
to
ourselves.
be a presentation,
Yeah.
Do we have any status review of where we are in the process for the town hall?
So we just sent the letter, so that was gonna be my next point, is we just sent the letter for the town hall, requesting to host the town hall, and I think it went up on Friday.
Yes.
So we
Oh,
haven't
so we
yet,
have-
No,
We
yeah,
haven't gotten responses.
but we have begun socializing the idea.
yeah, it went out on Monday, but, we're working with, there's no point in trying to hold the town hall with the goal of having elected done if they're not in town, so that is where we are. But our goal is to hold it in April. That's,
A specific date yet, or just
I
sometime?
do not have a specific.
Okay.
But he's trying.
Yeah.
I wanna support Jesse. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
No, I know, I appreciate the question. No.
And I
The
eventually,
minute I have it, you all.
I would like to know eventually who said yes and who says no.
Of course, it's like these mayoral.
So would we all.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out, that's all.
We also have requested other meetings, a meeting with the AG's office for an update, a meeting with electeds. So these are not the only, those items that we just reflected on are the public, you know, facing and engaging opportunities to really, you know, share and be a conduit for information to both our members and the public. And those other efforts continue as well.
Just about the webinar, doing it in webinar fashion for the sole purpose, because what the last topic we were talking about is about not getting stuck in the mud with the open meetings law. But, you know, technically, we can't have a quorum of all of you guys, whether it be the exec committee or another committee or the board itself, meeting in a place and holding discussions and coming up with ideas and all of that. So this will be, you know, it's not gonna be a discussion. Let's be clear, it is about an informational, you know, presentation that is in response to a number of members asking them, wanting to know some basic facts of this proposal and where we are with it. So that is really the goal. We'll try to answer all, as Justin said, we'll try to answer every question that we can get. But it won't be like a free form or a normal committee meeting. But yes, David.
Will there be an opportunity to ask questions based on the presentation after it's been given? You know, as opposed to the questions that are sent in.
You mean in real time?
Right, at the end of the.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
I think-
Yeah.
I think we're open to it. We don't yet know how long. I mean, there's a lot of material to cover. Admittedly, I've not finished the deck. So obviously we wanna, the goal here is to. I would very much like for there to be that time, and certainly meeting management, part of meeting management is making sure there is that time. And I would say the primary goal of this meeting is to get questions from members and respond to those questions with a thorough, detailed, fact-based understanding of the material that has been shared with so many of us who have been, you know, much closer to the project. And so that is my primary goal. If there is time for questions, I recognize that we may be asked questions in advance that I don't know the answer, that we can't get the answer to, and I would love for there to be time to acknowledge those questions and take other questions as well.
Are you making the presentation?
I am.
Just to note, the title not to be modified. I didn't know what it was about when I found the title.
Yeah,
It's-
FEC, is that
Yeah, so how it's kind of said it, I didn't quite get.
We'll
what
send
is
a
this about?
reminder, so.
No.
just the way it's,
The explanation of the title.
yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is that,
We can make.
did I miss this thing? I thought.
We sent it out with the sugar cube, meeting,
Right.
but we can, happy to send another one and.
Can you remind me what day is that?
Next Monday. It's next Monday, all right, thank you. Okay, on a related topic, I want to share and will then turn it to this person who also has some comments. Yeah, of course, it always is. That Carrie has informed me that she will be stepping down as co-chair. And so obviously that is significant and challenging, and also completely respect and understand her decision. I want to thank Carrie, as her co-chair, for many years, or several years. It was really a pleasure to have such a partner who's so thoughtful and diligent. And Carrie will continue on the board and on the committee, so we're not losing all of her expertise and insight. And I want to thank her again for her leadership, and acknowledge Greg for the work that he's done alongside her and will continue to do. Yeah. Carrie, anything you want to share? You're muted, maybe on purpose. Okay.
Thanks, Jessica. That's it.
In the vein of membership, I just also wanted to share two last things, and then we'll move on to Jesse's report. One is that, as you know, we have new applicants for the board. We had 65 applicants, which is up from 58 last year. Obviously, that is not, that this is a process run by the borough president's office. But they seemed really excited about the diversity and representation among the candidates, and we don't have too much more information at this time, including no clear sense of timeline in terms of when they will appoint the members. I know some people are interested in when they may rotate off, or what that means for their schedule, but I think in all likelihood, we're still many weeks away. I think June is probably a likely guess. I don't know.
They kept on saying April, so I mean, it's May, maybe early May, I don't wanna.
Okay. May.
Let's hope for the best. Yeah, let's aim for the stars.
That's not true. I'll ask how many seats are being vacated. They had an incomplete number. So I don't know if we have to like
Yeah.
compare some notes.
Yeah, I think they had an error in their records, so I mean, it's not many, I mean, again, this is not, we're pre-term limits still, I mean, we're next two, after 2 years from here, we'll be seeing sort of larger amount of people being term limited out, so we only have 2 or 3.
Less than 5, I think.
Yeah, much less.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I counted it down as 3 maybe or something like that.
Well, I think it's more, because we have to. Anyway, less than 5.
65 for 3 seats.
Yes. So,
65 applicants, sorry.
Yeah, and and the last thing is just you all have heard, we have assembled a board engagement working group.
Before you go to the next one, on the people leaving, the board, I don't know who the others are, I do know Betty Mack is one of them. Are we planning some kind of hoo-ha for her?
I think that seems very appropriate to do for anybody rotating off the board.
Especially someone that's been a long therapist like she has.
What's that about? I was gonna say, and I think we need to call it a hoo-ha.
You know.
We should have a nice, we should have a nice celebration.
Yes.
Who are the other members leaving, Jesse?
I'm not.
Yeah,
Start telling
announce
people.
the right
Oh, it's not, it's not.
I am not,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that as a.
I just didn't know, but Bert is sharing his
Yes.
views, so you
I
can
am
share.
leaving 20 years.
Wow.
And it's just a different part of my life.
You're leaving also?
Yes.
Stay over here, man.
I think Bert gets a hoo-ha.
Yeah.
My life,
See his head, so maybe, he's got a lot of plans.
I
Oh, man.
Thank you.
No, I just.
Yeah.
responsibility and stress.
Well, we will have a
And-
chance
and
to
listening
thank
to
and
discussion
celebrate
here,
and that
I'm
everyone.
thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna be involved in that about, I said, no, I'm not gonna.
Go crazy.
We will have a chance to thank and celebrate everyone. Thank you for raising. it.
Good.
And lastly, just as I was gonna say, board engagement, working group, they have sent out a survey. They've got some really interesting initial responses. So that's great. And would really request that everyone take the time. You don't, if some of it doesn't feel relevant, skate through it. But I think it
Doesn't allow you
really,
to,
Yeah,
okay.
you must answer certain questions.
thank you, Jill.
Yes, so thank you. Actually, a lot of the data shows that the plurality of people who have completed the survey to date actually are our longest serving members. So, maybe that's, I think, kind of interesting, yeah. But we'll encourage everyone, we'll send a reminder, of course, but ask everyone, look in your inboxes or do the follow-up, so we can make sure we have a well, a well-rounded participation.
On that, I will find that useful, I'm looking for a room. I'm
A
looking
reminder?
for a.
Okay, we'll resend it. Great. Okay, and that's, yes.
Before you go on.
Yeah.
Can I ask, you mentioned borough board meets regularly. We had a discussion, at Health Kitchen Land Use about the demolition by neglect and tagging department buildings. And that's more of a citywide issue, but we used our examples as a case study.
Actually,
And so,
we found that it's not,
there's no other special districts across the entirety of.
did research, that
We're the only ones that have,
that's correct,
all right, then let's change the letter.
we did.
Other topics that you think are not unique to our are not unique to our district and that we can partner with other boards on. Borough Board meets the last Thursday or second to last Thursday of every month and is a good opportunity to bring issues of shared, consequence. So please feel free to let me know. And certainly issues around cannabis have been brought up recently and others, so always some opportunities for that. Okay.
Okay, so, upcoming full board agenda and committee schedules are in your Dropbox. And there's copies here, please take a look, as always, it's a snapshot, not the full board should be accurate, if it is not inaccurate, please let us know. But committee schedules for the month of April, they are, again, it's a snapshot, so if there's stuff in there that's wrong or right, just know. And then, also, please take a look at other committees, so you know what they're all doing, and so there's no last second, wait a second, that's my issue. Why are you touching it? I also just wanted to say something must be in the water, because I'm getting a lot of letters in already for next week's school board, I really appreciate it, keep on drinking it. Very nice to see all those letters in. And that's it really for the, our full board and committee schedule, so I wanted to take this moment to give you guys an update. A little bit of a preview as to what's going on with our new office space. We're at a point where I feel confident that it's actually gonna happen, so why not take a look at it? And so we are scheduled to be moving in September, of this year. Yeah. Well, we're certainly moving out of here in September. That's something that way. I really hope we're ready to go and move into the space.
This is being converted to residential space.
This building, this building is gonna be mixed, right? It's gonna be supposedly some residential and then some lower floors are gonna be commercial still, because they do have some tenancy. This floor will eventually become residential. And this was always temporary, just for people's memory. This was literally, we got evicted in the middle of COVID. I was literally packing boxes as we were getting evicted, and so we had found this place as a licensed, I'm sorry, I'm not changing my name, license agreement. So, ever since COVID, we've actually just been extending, and Brookfield has been wonderful and really good extent. So, honestly, like, so anyway, we are only moving into the old film center building, which is 630 9th Avenue, which is between 44th and 45th Street on 9th Avenue on the east side. And I thought I can show you some visuals that will hopefully get you guys excited.
It's a show.
First off, I always like to show what our lobby will look like. So this is a landmark lobby, as JD and Paul and Joe and other folks on the Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use Committee know. It is the inside, the interior of our lobby is landmarked by LBC. So every once in a while they want to change something, it comes before us.
One of the few in the city,
Yeah.
and it's a Mayan revival.
Clearly.
I can't make it up.
I don't think that was.
I would say that.
Yes,
Did you see that?
clearly a mind. So, just some slight changes that actually this photo is a little bit outdated. There's a lobby security system right here. You guys will all have similar situations as we do now. Either you'll have a pass card, pass key, something like that. But access is allowed by the public. You just have to sign in. So there's no problems with access or ADA or anything like that, any of those issues. So I just like to always show that. So I'm gonna show you guys now, just a couple, I'm not gonna go, the whole deck is in your Dropbox. That is what's called the decast deck. It's like half of it's Greek to me. I don't understand it because it's all architects. David could probably read it and go out and get all of it. But like, I'm just gonna show you some of the highlights that, so you guys can see what we are getting and if you see that, so that's our floor plan. We're on the second floor. And so we're gonna have basically two sections. We'll have the office space, which is entrance through here. We'll have our base, the desk modules. If anybody remembers the old 42nd Street address, it's sort of very similar to that. Nellie's office will be up front and my office will be in the rear. But the real kind of the point of all of this searching and finding a space, because I'll be honest with you, the way the city looks at it is basically you have how many people in your office, and that's how much they give you in terms of square footage. So I've been fighting since I came to this job to find a place that gives us the space that really allows us to hold committee meetings, which we kind of have here a little bit, but I wanted to be much more actually official. So we have this entire other section. So of the office, which you can see, this is gonna be the conference room table. These are the chairs around it. We'll have a smart screen here. We're gonna have another screen here that mimics whatever's being shown there. So audience members who can't see it from here will be able to see it from there.
Jesse, you need to show it on the screen because when you wave on the other,
Oh, you're not sharing it?
we don't see anything.
Move the cursor around.
Move the cursor on the screen.
I'll move the cursor.
I'll do it.
Okay.
You go
All
ahead.
right, okay.
This is funny.
I'll sit down.
Here we
I'm
go.
standing up.
You can't see your finger on the screen.
I was losing calories, thank you, Christine. So anyway, where my cursor is the kitchen, and that will be the entrance for the committee meeting, so like,
Through the kitchen?
well, yes, I mean, you're gonna go through here, and then, rather than go through here and then go through there, so. And so, you know, I mean, again, I'm not.
Are we in a farmhouse?
That's. It's a kitchen,
There will be treats and
so,
snacks.
Yes, that's it.
I'm sure people will get over it, but, if they don't, we can make them go through the other, door. So, anyway, yeah, so that's basically.
Once a corridor.
One's basically.
Oh,
That's basically it.
the poor dog.
Jesse, just
amazing,
some quick
Jesse.
questions.
Yeah, sure.
I'm excited.
The conference room, that has a window in it, correct?
The conference room has,
You just go into it?
yes, there's the windows here, and here,
Right,
and here.
great. And then is the wall between the conference room and the other offices, is that glass or is that solid?
That's solid.
And then is there entrance kind of glass when you walk in there?
The entrance, the entrance,
To the
the doors are glass similar to this.
Like that? okay.
Yeah, so they'll have a glaze over it, so you're not seeing, you know, you don't get to see all the way in, but there will be a pane where you can look in to obviously see if someone is there or not, but it's gonna be.
And is there any separation between the kitchen and the conference room?
No physical separation, no.
And where's the tech, the screen?
The screen is where my cursor is right now. So that's the first screen.
Okay.
That's the main screen, let's call it the main screen. The secondary screen will be here. So it allows the folks that are sitting here, to view it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is that representative of the number of chairs? Is it 12 people at a table? Or was there really do a longer
So,
capacity? And is that a column in the room blocking it?
There's a column in the room that's blocking it. So the reason why we have to have
Oh,
a
that's a
column,
column.
the reason why originally I was looking at it to flip this model. And so have it, the office would have the column. And the conference room space would have the column lists. The issues around that were that if we then wanted to shift the wall over, which we would want to, because that's too small. For right now where the wall is, we'd have to shift the wall over, and that would create a number of ADA issues for the office.
I knew it was ADA. you know.
DCAS was just not gonna be able to work around. The other issue that was long-standing, and I will say, I wanna give credit where credit is due. Jeffrey LeFrancois, who was our chair at the time, came with me to a couple meetings and does what he does best, is yell at people. And, but we had the issue of the AC, and the AC is, was originally in the conference room area, and it was enormous, and it was like, so it was like basically gonna take up all of this space, which would make it almost unusable and extremely loud. So we were able to convince them to actually shift it over to my office and make it out the window, and the entire compressor's outside of the building, on the outside of the building, and so. There's a slide in the deck that if you wanna look at that, if you care to look at it, that's there, so. We were able to resolve that issue, but yeah, we do have a column. The chair number again is all, ADA space.
So
but as
more can fit.
Yeah, as we did, exactly, but I can't say that, and I can't tell them to put more chairs there right now, but yeah, but we.
Not on the official.
The spaces are pretty significant, and the chairs that we have gotten are similar to these, which they are very compact, they're not the big arms or anything.
What's
like
the
that.
dimension of that room, Jesse?
The table's 84 inches by 4.
I can get you that, I've looked at it so many times, I've forgotten to, I've looked at, I just
It's on the
go so
deck.
granular, but it's on the deck, it's in the deck, I can show it to you. And I think it's around 1900 square feet altogether.
Any other questions?
Amazing.
Yeah, just saying, great.
It might be worth having EDC take another look and see if they could come up with a different furniture configuration that would allow these sides to switch. I mean, that column is really kind of an unfortunate location. And if you put the conference table on the other sides, then you wouldn't need to enter through a kitchen.
I agree with you completely, David, but we are in the pipe, to so to speak. If I ask for that switch, we would
You're stuck
take
there.
another 6 to 9 months, and then we would be
really, in a real bad position, so,
And-
at
and
this
also-
point, we're supposed to like live in.
Sorry.
Well, I just wanna add that Jesse's done an incredible amount of work to try to adhere to the schedule that keeps slipping and being very elusive. And we were concerned that we were gonna become homeless as a board, and we're able to navigate that and didn't need to burden you all with that issue, but keeping this project to the schedule has been very challenging, and Jesse has really done a lot to both make sure that the layout meets all of our, like, he's been trying to be considerate of all of our needs, not just his staff's needs. And also just keeping it on track with the city and all of its requirements. Maybe.
Two questions, Jesse. So it's enough for a committee meeting with guests, but it's not enough for a board meeting, is that correct?
Full board meeting?
Okay.
It's not.
No, I just didn't like, with our new situation with being hybrid, and again, if we ever choose to stop being hybrid, that's a whole different conversation.
Right.
You know, the idea of, we really need to be able to control the space. I need to be able to have the space and I need to be able to control the tech. We're gonna be able to feel good about leaving the tech where it is and not coming back and being stolen, anything like that. And using the old method, which was, basically begging, borrowing for space.
Carrying around.
Yeah, it wasn't operationally gonna work, so I always wanted to be able to find a space, similar to other boards. I mean, CB7 has a situation like that, they've got 4 columns, just so you know. And we got a column over there too, but we'll make it work, I swear, we'll make it work. Yeah, I mean, the idea would be like, obviously, if you guys in the future really do wanna hold community meetings outside, we like Clue holds their meetings up here 57, things like that. I'm not opposed to that, but I do like the idea of being able to,
We need to get more rooms equipped with technology.
So
We
what?
need to get more rooms. equipped
Yeah, I
with
mean, the rooms,
technology.
the fact is that other rooms, I mean, even look at Mount Sinai West, I have to bring all the tech in. Because the tech is from like 3 different generations, so I can never make it all work. So it's easier for me to pay for it, but
Are
that's
these,
money.
are these Bluetooth enabled or not?
Joe, I have a second question, excuse me. So in terms of control, you are in control of this now. Can you mandate people to wear masks, say if there's something in this space or not?
Yes.
If I'm holding a public meeting, I would have to defer to whatever the law is, but
Okay.
yeah. No, I can't, I would not, to my knowledge, I don't think I could require people to wear masks, I'd have to double check.
Okay,
But you might be right,
okay, thanks.
If we just made it a policy, this office policy to say everybody has to wear a mask. I don't know what my staff would say about that, but like, I would say, that's an idea.
I'm saying if there was an emergency.
Yeah. I understand what I get what you're saying.
Thanks.
What's that big closet in the kitchen?
This is the tech, this is the.
Oh, server.
That, the tech closet, so it's enormous, I don't know why
It's really enormous.
Yeah, it's a little big, but we also will have this whole closet and we're gonna have all of this is gonna be storage.
So where's the fridge? Where's the fridge?
Christine wants to know.
Where's the wine
The fridge will be,
Where's the wine fridge?
the fridge will be in the kitchen, it's a mini fridge, it's not gonna be a full fridge.
Oh, you can put the fridge in the tech closet.
That's what already creates.
This tech closet is in.
Just a quick question. I know here we have 4 people sitting along each edge. And that we always leave where the screen is blank, because people aren't comfortable having their backs to the screen. I was just wondering, is there any possibility of having a longer table so that the end closest to the screen is left empty or no?
I just wanna know, I think the reason we can't sit people here is because it's a blinding light, because of this projector, not because of your back to the screen. So. That's a different
Yeah,
question, a
we won't
different
have
point than
projector.
your question,
Yeah, we won't
like
have the
literally
projector.
just sit
Right
there.
to smart
Issue,
screens.
so, we won't have the projector issue, but again, I don't want us to get caught up with just the numbers, I mean. These are gonna be big tables, and we're gonna be able to put more people around this table.
Also,
This is just a DCAS, DCAS has a very regimented way of doing things,
Okay.
and so, if I start putting little chairs in places, they get very antsy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think.
not to give the impression that I made this.
I think we have a drawing out there. But the actuality, once we get there, DCAS or whatever, whoever it is, they're not gonna, if we wanna move chairs around, they're not gonna find that.
Jesse.
We're gonna limit it and then evolve.
Yeah, we can buy another thing.
Jesse, is there a reason, even for a third screen on the other wall, so everyone is able to see things from every angle? Because in the Port Authority, that's been the great part, you can sit in different locations, and you always have
I'm not gonna do that.
see some screen.
You mean over here?
Yes,
Yeah, there's, right now, there's set up for that, there's plugs here, and I'm sorry, there's plugs here, and we can put a plug.
so we could put another.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
wanna make sure you have flexibility.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Jessica.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You must be right.
Great. We are walking into this room in September or October.
Do we have a say on the color of the road too, or are we?
No.
You missed that a long time ago. You wouldn't believe the conversations that I had, how many feet of corkboard, you know, like, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Move it closer to Chelsea, so I don't have to walk so far.
It's on a subway stop.
With an elevator.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
We're not gonna get a second on that, but we can take a motion to adjourn. That is part of this evening's
Can I
meeting.
make one announcement? Because I got something while I was sitting here. Unbelievably, in the farm budget, section 8 has not only been preserved, it's been increased.
Sorry, Joe, can you say that again? You kind
Sorry,
of went in and out.
Sorry, in the current federal budget, which just got signed by the president, section 8 has been increased for tenant-based vouchers from 3.2 billion. And it's an increase of 3.65 billion over last year. And for project-based assistance it is at 16.5 billion, an increase of 500 million over last year.
Wow,
That's very surprising to see in that budget.
Terrifying.
yes. But what about,
They're gonna need that money to
what
pay for
about
the garage
assistance to
facility.
public housing, section 9?
Section 9 is not noted in this announcement. Whatsoever.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks everyone for coming, for this meeting,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you all. See you, won't see you at exec, but I'll see you around.
Yeah.
Yeah.